Hi ny'all and welcome to hell. Okay, no. We are going to get through this and we are going to learn things about team building and battles, myself included. I learned a lot for this video because I personally don't pay attention to meta while I play because that's just not my playstyle. So I did a lot of research for this video. And because team building and battles are so integral to each other, this is really a 2-for-1 video because we can't talk about one without the other. This video was a suggestion by Justin and Kristara, so thank you. I hope this helps. Before we begin though, I just want to talk with you guys and be completely transparent. There is, apparently, a meta to this game. I'm going to be incredibly controversial and say I personally don't think it's the end-all be-all, and that's how I personally play. But I want this to be a video for people like myself whose strategy is just brute force, and also for people who really love meta and that's what makes them happy. But I want to stress that I simply don't believe anyone needs any one card to be like the best at Twisted Wonderland. The cards you need are the ones that you want because they're of your fave, or you just really like the outfit, or whatever. I've seen a lot of new players ask what the best cards are, and frankly speaking, I'm worried that these players aren't asking because they genuinely like being meticulous with team building, but they're asking because they feel like they have to pay attention to meta, and to be honest, you can ignore it. If it doesn't spark joy, leave it alone. So if you want to pay attention to meta because that's what makes you happy, I'm glad that you enjoy it, but I don't want anyone feeling like they have to. Battles are only one part of Twst's gameplay, and there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to doing battles. I don't pay attention to it because I think having a variety of cards and having all your bases covered is far better than the pursuit of the quote-unquote best card. Like, let's say I'm just starting out and I'm solely focused on meta. I plan on using a team based around SSR Dorm Riddle because I've seen most people call him the best SSR, and he is a great card, don't get me wrong. I like using him and he's in the majority of my teams. But that Riddle is not going to do well in all battles, and if I plan everything around him and only him, I'm going to be making Twst a lot harder for myself. He is actively going to bring down a team during water fights, and maybe this is just me. I have him in EN, and I did the Fire Book 1 boss with him, and I hated it. Like, Riddle does amazing in floral exams, and again, I like him. But I think as a new player, you should really be more focused on getting a roster of cards that are all well balanced, at least when it comes to the elements, and think of everything holistically instead of planning around 1 or 2 SSRs. But that's my personal feelings on it, and you're welcome to respectfully disagree with me. So please keep that in mind and play Twisted Wonderland in whatever way makes you the happiest. I'm putting timestamps in the description because this is going to be a big boy. I almost made this 2 videos because it's a lot of material, but team building and battles go hand in hand, and I'm lazy, so it's just going to be one long one. And now that that's out of the way, let's talk about team building battles with the basics and progressively get more and more technical. Let's start with how battles work on a basic level because this is the information that will help you build a team in the first place. Players will form teams of 5 cards and fight against another team chosen by the game itself. Teams take collective damage, meaning every member's HP is added together. When one member is hit by an attack, the whole team loses HP. There are 3 types of battles. 5-turn battles where you need to beat the shit out of your opponent as much as you can, also known as basic battles. 5-turn battles where you have to survive for the duration of the battle and have more remaining HP than your opponent, aka defense battles. And unlimited turn battles where you have as much time as you need to get your enemy's HP to 0. Sometimes in 5-turn battles, you'll have like a gauge at the top of the screen, and this just shows how much damage or HP you have versus the opposite team. As long as the gauge is like above 50% on the right, you're good. It's just kind of a visualization, helpy thingy-mer-bobber. All fights are based around 4 elements: water, fire, flora, and cosmic, also known as ny'all in Japanese. Fights can be centered around one element or a mixture, so this is where you should start when you're building a team. Elements, in my opinion, are the most important part of a team, so this is always my main focus. When you're team building, you want to pay attention to what elements your enemies will be and build accordingly. Fire is good against flora, flora is good against water, water is good against fire, and cosmic is just there vibing. Like, nothing is ineffective or effective with it, so honestly, like, just do whatever you want when it's all cosmic battles. It really doesn't matter. For example, if my enemies are using fire and water attacks, I want to use water and flora units on my team since those will be the most effective against fire and water. Sometimes when you're checking battle details, it'll show all of the elements. This is referred to as Omni, and you will need all of the elements in your team. Except Cosmic. You don't really need that unless you want to. My personal rule of thumb is having equal amounts of every element in my team that you need. Like, going with the above example, if I had a fire-water battle, I would want all of my units to be water flora. If, let's say, I have a unit that I want to use who is just flora, then I would put in a card that only had water spells to balance it out. This rule of thumb is more important for Omni battles in my opinion, because you want to make sure all your bases are covered, but I do it outside of those just because it makes team building easier for me. After you've settled on what elements you're going to use, it's time to pick cards. So there's 3 types of cards in Twst: attack, defense, and balance. Attack cards allegedly have higher attack, which I found out at 4 AM this morning got changed to power in EN. So power and attack, they're the same thing. But like, not all of them necessarily have a higher attack. Generally speaking, they do, but this is honestly, like, not consistent from the cards I've seen. Attack is a vibe, not a type. Defense cards usually have a higher HP than attack, but again, God has abandoned us and left us to pick up the pieces ourselves, so sometimes that isn't true. But for most of the cards I've seen, they're pretty weak when it comes to power and their HP is higher, so honestly, they're really there just to help pad out your team's HP. Balance cards are allegedly pretty even when it comes to HP versus attack stats, but again, I would really double check. And this is my main problem with just picking cards based on what type they are. I was only partially joking when I said attack is a vibe, not a type, because these categories do not seem consistent across the board, so like, I would not recommend just picking according to type. Personally speaking, I would use type as like a jumping off point to more easily narrow down potential cards, but please always check stats and how much you've built them already before putting them in a team. Do not pick a card just because it says attack or defense. Double check that it's going to be good for your team. If you're building a team for a defense test, you might want to start your search with defense and balance cards, but you might not necessarily have all defense and balance cards on your team at the way end. You know, there might be some other cards that will be better for your team, but it might be an attack card, you know? What I'm trying to get at is that you don't have to go according to type, and I would use it more as a category to look at things. My final piece of basic advice is that if a card is designated Reward Plus during an event, use it. In battle or food-based events, having certain cards on your team will get you bonus event items. For example, having a specific MasterChef card on your team while farming ingredients during the event will get you extra ingredients. If you choose not to, it's not gonna like royally screw you over, but I think like even a little less farming makes it worth it. So, you know, keep this in mind for future events and keep your options open. Okay, so now that we have the basics out of the way, meta lovers, let's get you some food. There's several card tier lists going around, and personally, I would suggest the Twst gameplay Tumblr as a resource. The admins all clearly love, you know, this sort of thing. They love calculating numbers and the meta, and I trust their assessments. If you like meta, I really cannot recommend them enough. But my bottom line is, if you want really strong teams, I would focus, personally speaking, focus on making SSR-only teams and building according to duo magic and buddy bonuses. Of course, there's also more advanced battle knowledge that plays into this, but we really need to take this one step at a time. I recommend SSRs because they have the highest stats in the game and they also have duo magic, which is insanely helpful, especially if you're doing a fight that you have to beat the shit out of someone. It's very helpful. It's obviously going to take you a long time to build up a team full of SSRs, let alone a team that all synergizes together, but if you want to do better in exams and unified exams, we'll get there when we get there. I would recommend this as an end goal. I wouldn't rush to it, obviously. Please only spend within your means, but you should be aiming for an eventual team of SSRs. Duo Magic is a special skill that unlocks when an SSR's second spell reaches level 5. It lets the SSR make an extra attack on that element, whatever it is. Now, although you don't need an SSR to activate another's Duo Magic, I recommend it so you can have a chain reaction of Duo Magic going on. This is my example team, and again, I don't think you need these specific cards, and this isn't a fully optimal team, but this is an example of what I'm talking about, and I don't have every SSR, so this is what we're working with. My SSR Malleus has Duo Magic with Idia, who has Duo Magic with Lilia, who has Duo Magic with Rook, who has Duo Magic with Trey. Now, in a truly optimal loop, I would have a Trey SSR that has Duo Magic with Malleus, but that doesn't exist, so yeah. But anyways, you want characters to have a chain reaction of Duo Magic extras that they can deploy. Just remember to check who has Duo Magic with who since it changes from card to card. Buddy bonuses are also a great way to get a little extra oomph in your team. When certain characters are in a team together, a card will get a bit of a stat boost. Buddy bonuses can be strengthened in daily lessons, so be sure to do those. The effects of these bonuses vary on what they do and how much they affect cards, so you also have to double check and see what's good. But also, if you're using SSRs and maybe you don't have duo magic yet, SSRs have more buddy bonuses that you could get, and they have more options for that. So, even if you don't have duo magic, a buddy bonus might be good. It just won't give you that second attack. And actually, in my example team, that Trey has a buddy bonus with Malleus, even though they don't have a duo magic. So it's not, completely unoptimized, but, So congratulations, you've all passed Battles 101 earlier, and we're going to move on to Battles 201. The main thing I want to get across is that there's an RNG when it comes to battles, so there's no set way to win a battle because things are randomized. Every time you do a battle, attacks and buffs, debuffs are randomized. So you're going to have to understand how to strategize and understand what effects have been placed on your team, and what effects you can theoretically place on the other team. And you're going to have to do this on the spot. So buffs and debuffs are a thing. If you see a gold icon, it's a buff. If it's silver, it's a debuff. If it's purple and or a heart, it's HP related. These little icons will show you what's going on, and I guess you could memorize them if you wanted, but also the wiki has the full list, and so you don't have to memorize them. I don't have them memorized. You do you on that one, but I'm gonna quickly go over them as well as link the list in the description because I think you should reference it. Comet, attack stats are boosted, magic pen, damage boost, shield, damage decreased, or if it's an opponent, increase. I have no idea why the increase is, exclusive to enemies, but here we are. Magic pen with a colored dot, damage up on whatever that element is, so if it's a red dot, fire, damage up, that sort of thing. So a little dude not punching the air and doing kind of a weird pose thingy-bobber means that the card can dodge an attack. Theoretically, it's not guaranteed. And a little dude punching the air means the team will survive on 1 HP, but that's exclusive to enemies. A poison apple is a heal block, meaning whoever has that, on them cannot heal at all. So the next ones are opponent-only ones. So a flame means you'll take damage at the end of the turn. An eye with a slash through it means an attack won't do any damage, and a snowflake means, quote, buffs are negated, and then okay, I'm sure these have been used in the game, but frankly, I've never seen these before, so I don't know. But anyway, they're flowers with colored dots on them, and whatever colored dot is on the thing, it corresponds to the element of the same color, and it won't do any damage. So if there's the flower icon with a red circle on an enemy, no fire attacks will hurt them, and you'll have to do something else. You can check your own team's buffs and debuffs by these icons, or by holding a character, which I would really admit these icons are really just, some of them are just flashes. It kind of sucks. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but damage and attack are two separate things. Attack is a stat cards have, while damage is a calculation based on a variety of different things. How much damage a card deals depends on their attack stats, whether there are buffs and or debuffs at play in general, whether they're going against someone whose element they're strong against, buddy bonuses, etc, etc, etc. So just remember, attack is a stat, damage is a calculation. And that's a very brief overview of team building and battles. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and again, if you want to dive even deeper, I'll have some resources for you in the description. If there's anything you guys want a guide on, just let me know in the comments. If you'd like to stay up to date with my content, be sure to subscribe. Anyway, I stream over on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, but I post archives here, so if you miss something, don't worry, it's not gone forever, or if you just don't like Twitch. I don't know your life. Anyway, with that, I'll see you guys later. Bye!